Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Adam.
Today, we are reviewing the long-anticipated sequel to Knives Out, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Rian Johnson is back directing and writing. Daniel Craig is back as Benoit Blanc with a whole new cast of characters. Adam, would you like to tell the people what it's about?
Indeed. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Detective Benoit Blanc travels to Greece to peel back the layers of a mystery involving a new cast of suspects.
Yes. I like that they just put that right there because I think there was an element of, hey, we're making a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, oh, is it going to be the Thrombies again?
Yeah. How is this going to tie in?
That kind of just ended. So can we just leave that be? And we are. We get a whole new cast of characters. Dylan, you want to break down who's joining the Knives Out world this time for round two?
I suppose I could do that for you guys. So, of course, we have Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. Yep. We also have Edward Norton as Miles Braun. Kate Hudson is in this movie. Dave Bautista as Duke. Janelle Monae. Kathryn Hahn. Oh, man. Leslie Odom Jr. Jessica Henwick. And then some other cameos that I feel like I won't spoil right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely. There are some crazy cameos. And we mean like cameos. There are random people, like very famous people who show up for like 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Or like some name drops, which are really well done. This will be a spoiler-free review. We're not going to get into the plot too much because this is definitely a movie to just sit back and enjoy and just kind of hang on for the ride, and you don't want to know too much about it going in. So really, Edward Norton plays an Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos type billionaire. And he invites a bunch of his other very prominent friends to his island mansion off the coast of Greece for a weekend getaway / murder mystery game that he has created during COVID. So everybody's pretty excited to just kind of get away and get somewhere else during COVID. And Benoit Blanc ends up on the guest list. Is that on purpose or on accident? And who invited him? That's part of the mystery.
Yes.
And we don't really need to get into too much else as far as the plot goes, because like I said, you want to know as little about this going in as possible, other than just, it's nice to know the setup and kind of where they're going to get to after sort of a fun, but kind of lengthy opening sequence. And then once that all clicks into place, you're just kind of along for the ride. I think we were all big fans of the first Knives Out. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I gave it like a 4, 4.5, something. I think it's kind of like that 4s across the board at least.
I think it's
for us.
I think it's a 4.5 for me, and it was definitely one of the surprises of 2019 for me.
Yeah, it was a 4.5 for me as well. I think Dylan and I both had it on our top 10 movies of 2019 list.
Yeah,
which way back the very first year of this podcast.
Yep.
Under a different name at that time. So big expectations, and for me at least, it absolutely meets them and does not feel like a step down in necessarily any way outside of just maybe the sort of holy shit, this is way better than I thought aspect that the first one had.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think this pretty much is equal to the first in almost every way. I think maybe the only real drawback for me or ding that it had was I felt like it kind of had one of those endings where it felt like it could have ended like 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could
the
see
ending
that.
felt a little drawn out to me, but that's basically it. That was the only time that I can remember while watching it that I felt like, I don't know if this is the best they could have. I started actually thinking about that. The whole rest of the movie, I was just laughing and smiling with glee.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it, like you mentioned, it's not going to catch anybody by surprise this time. So you don't have that kind of effect. But I will say, like, the style, the way it's shot, like the editing, the pacing, all feels like the same. Also, like the setup of, a whole host of characters and giving them each, like, they're all unique, but they all also have motive. So it sets up the same way the first one was, where you don't know who it is, because they all have it. The movie gives you reasons to suspect all of them, and I like the way that it did that again effectively. I would say the only thing that wasn't quite as compelling for me is just the actual mystery itself and how it got solved and stuff. Which is, it's totally. I mean, it's still really good, and I think that, again, they wanted a similar setup where it's like a group and everyone's a suspect and you're all stuck together the same way that the first one was. And that was effective. I just felt like the murder mystery of the first one was like, it was really well constructed, and on rewatch it's still really like, I don't know, entertaining. And I felt like this one was just a little more basic, but not a huge criticism. But overall, I still really liked it, and I felt like all the actors were having a really great time playing their kind of over the top, crazy characters, and I love the way they played off each other.
Yeah, I'll go off of that and say I think the two performances that stuck out to me the most were Janelle Monae and Dave Bautista. I thought they both, like, they clearly had a lot of fun, and I think they had a lot to work with and enjoyed those roles. Dave for other reasons than Janelle, because he's very doing like reasons. Marvel stuff and some like big dumb stuff, and now he's like a big dumb sort of like smart, like he's trying to game the system smart. So I think he had fun with that. And then I think the strength of this movie is that the structure is different, because if you look at like the Agatha Christie movies that have been turned into with I forget his name now,
Branagh.
But Kenneth Branagh, and he's Poirot, like Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express are basically like the same. Like, for all things considered, they're very, very, very similar, and these two are not. The structure is completely different. I like how you kind of get a switch up in the middle of this one. I think that keeps it fresh and definitely stops you from going, okay, well, this is the same type of thing. Like, how is it going to play out? It definitely just throws you off right away. And really,
I like that point too, because the first one does open with a death, and this one, if you aren't expecting that, that's not what you're going to get. It's going to take a while. They do more stage setting.
Yeah, it's all character introductions
before a murder happens. So I do think that'll be interesting on a rewatch, because it did throw me off a little bit, because I did kind of find myself thinking, like, when's somebody going to die? When is somebody going to die? When is somebody going to die? And you do have to wait a little longer than you'd think, but that's not a bad thing here. It's nice that they're different, and you should be able to return to each of them and get a different type of mystery, and again, a different paced mystery as well. Also, I think this movie is funnier than the first one.
Ooh, I think they're about the same. I don't know if I'd be willing to compare
this
them.
Had
but I laughed a lot.
More like belly, like laugh out loud moments. That's for me. With the first, I think they're both great. This one has a couple of moments where I was just dying, and I don't remember too many of those in the first one. That's a good point too, Adam. Like, there were a lot of people at the theater, which was cool to see.
Yeah, people were ready for this one to be good. So that was nice. So, I think we had like 30, 40 people in that theater. And like when there was a funny moment, like it was a funny moment. Like, everyone laughed, and it makes it feel a lot more like, oh, that's way funnier. You know what I mean? Than like laughing by yourself.
Off that energy. And it's fun to be in a theater with a group of people when everybody's kind of trying to figure out who the killer is. And so definitely watch this with a group of people if you can. Because it's really fun.
And Rian Johnson's really, he knows how to get the comedic juice out of the Benoit Blanc character and his voice and his whole, right? Because sometimes with sequels, if they go for the same kind of humor, it doesn't work as well. But I feel like he found new and fresh ways to kind of skewer just that character. And it's just the setup of putting him amongst a group of people who we all... Like, I love how he shows us as he introduces each character and as we get to know each character, like, they're all kind of horrible people. Like, he gives us reasons to not like them. But then he also kind of gives some of them reasons for us to at least sympathize and be like, okay, we don't like them, but we sympathize. But then he's so good at putting Benoit Blanc in the middle of all these people that aren't good people. And then having him just like bounce and react and interact with them is just always great. And he knows how to write the dialogue where, like, once every 20 minutes, Benoit Blanc would just say something that was just so like, oh my God, like such a Benoit Blanc thing to say. And like the movie knows it. It's kind of a wink at the audience. And really funny.
And that's just
pretty much start to finish.
And that's just a testament of the great character writing, because this is only the second move. Like Benoit Blanc wasn't a character that existed in books. This is an original character. This is only his second movie, and we already feel like, oh, that's just such a Benoit Blanc quote.
Yeah.
Like he's already established this like style of speaking that he has that just fits so well, and Daniel Craig is so good in that role. And this movie does, again, going back to them being horrible people, this movie does a great job of skewering the rich. We've seen a few other comedies come out this fall. This is easily my favorite of just like rich people suck, right? And it's also supposed to be funny. I think this one does it better than all the other ones that have come out in the last month or two.
Like the Menu and Triangle of Sadness. And
I prefer Glass Onion significantly to both of those movies. Do we want to get into, I mean, Adam, you already mentioned your two favorite performances, but with such a big cast, I feel like obviously Daniel Craig is given a lot to do. And then after him, I think probably Edward Norton and Janelle Monae are kind of given the second most, or kind of tied for the most to do. And then Bautista, Kathryn Hahn, and Kate Hudson all have their big moments. I felt like Leslie Odom Jr. was kind of a nothing here. That really surprised me.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to think out of those who, like, everyone kind of has their one moment to shine, where I feel like he was kind of always just like hanging out in the background.
Even like Madeline Klein had a moment that I felt like a bigger moment, I felt like, than Leslie Odom Jr. ever got.
Yeah. As Whiskey, I would agree with that. I think for me it's Janelle Monae, obviously Daniel Craig, but I would say Janelle Monae and Edward Norton were probably right up there as my second and third. And then I really liked Kate Hudson. You know, I think that her character on the surface kind of seems like the most kind of simple and basic, but I just felt like her comedic timing was great, and just, I don't know, the way that she kind of went from like being like the leader of the group to being kind of bitter to being kind of like the way she would just turn it on, like depending on who she was talking to. Like I don't know. I found her performance really, really great. I liked her.
I enjoyed hers as well.
That's a performance that feels like, oh, everybody can be that person. Like that's a character everybody knows. And it's like, it's really hard to pull off well. And that's the magic
and not
of her
just be constantly annoying.
Exactly.
Like funny and believable.
And have a feeling like, okay, and she's also like smart, like she's making moves, like she's making moves there. But she's also like kind of,
she's also
depending on who she's talking to, she like acts kind of ditzy, or she acts kind of like flirty, or she acts, but like underneath, like there's still a little bit going on. I just thought all the characters were really well written. He found a way to give a couple layers to like each one.
Well,
and that's what I think.
And for as distinct as this one is from the first Knives Out, I think that because that one is, the first one's all about like a family, you kind of understand that dynamic, or how that can be weird. And you have to give characters, you have to give the audience time with the characters to really understand who they are and where they're coming from. And that's what makes this work so well, because we do spend a ton of time at the beginning setting up every single person and giving them pros and cons, and both categories, and just saying, all right, here we go, and just like releasing them.
I'll say too, Jessica Henwick as Peg did pretty good, kind of the forgotten, but like I feel like that's done on purpose. She's brought along as the assistant, and you're kind of like, every once in a while you forget that she's even there, and then she'll pop in with like a funny line, or just she'll come back into the room and be like, wait, what is going on?
There's also another person in this movie who's not even in the cast list, which I think is hilarious. That they're not listed.
We'll let the viewers find out.
We'll let you guys discover that for yourselves. But anything else, or you guys want to get into the stars?
I think we can get into the stars.
We'll be right back.
Nailed it.
Yeah, we are back with our star ratings, and Adam was partying hard during those 10 seconds off.
Hyping up.
So we can get into it here, or we can just kind of go all at once, because
Yeah, sometimes the good movies are the fastest reviews because all three of us are giving this 4 out of 5 stars.
Boom.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
Boom.
There it is.
Yep. There it is.
For me, loved it. Can't wait to watch it again when it comes out on Netflix. Not quite as good as the first one for me, and I think that's because the final image of Knives Out is just iconic to me now. I absolutely love it. I just like the ending of the first one a little bit better.
Yeah.
But this one I think is a little funnier. They're really close. This didn't disappoint at all, and I had really high expectations. So if you like the first one, absolutely you're going to love the second one as well, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this one is just a half star lower than the original, but I definitely plan on rewatching this, and it certainly could go up because I'll be honest, this is one of the best sequels I feel like I've seen in a while. It's one of the best Netflix movies that I feel like I've seen in a while. I was just so happy that this wasn't a disappointment. Like I'm just so happy that it was basically as good as the first one. I can nitpick here and there, but I think I still do prefer the first one. What I was thinking, Nate, is just the house in the first one and like the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like both aesthetics are fun because this one it's like a billionaire's island, so there's a lot to look at. But just for murder mysteries and stuff, that house in the first one is just so perfect. And
the first one also does a better job of kind of playing with the layout of the house, where it's a key element in solving the mystery for like multiple clues in the first one, whereas this one is just kind of big and cool and it comes into play, but not so much like the layout of it, but just kind of some things that are there.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, overall, I thought it was great. I'd recommend it for pretty much everybody, and especially if you like the first one. Absolutely, do not worry, do not hesitate. See the second one. I think you're going to like it a lot.
Yeah, again, I'll echo all that. I already said what I liked about this in my original points, but I think the structure is the strongest point, and I like both the first one and the second one. I think they're both probably 4.5. If I see this again, it might go up to 4.5. But I like it because the structure is so different. It almost feels like it's not even in the same universe as the first one, which I mean, that means it's an amazing sequel, which we just don't get. We just don't get a lot of really, really solid sequels anymore. So that in and of itself should be a reason to go see it, but it is hilarious. It's fantastic. So 4 stars.
Awesome.
All right, there we go.
Anything else? Or Adam, I think it is your turn to put a wrap on the show.
Yeah, I've got it. My great-grandfather told my grandfather, men are like spiders. It's the little ones you got to be careful of.